Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. We're going to continue on with this possibly ill-fated Doom Metal week. Hopefully checking out some actual Doom the start of the week has not been too great. We're going to move on, though, with a band that I, from context, kind of figure is going to be the real deal here. We're going to get some Pallbearer up here. Now, this song specifically we're going to check out is called The Ghost I Used to Be. And, like I said, I'm kind of certain that this is actually going to be some actual doom metal stuff. So let's check this one out. Let's see what's up. Alright, so we had some pretty extreme clipping going on in that opening, lots of overdrive. And now we've moved into a lot of reverb. Slower on the tempo scale, not as much as Sludge, but definitely a slow song. Interesting. I was honestly expecting some harsher vocals, but this is kind of in line with the Catatonia stuff we checked out yesterday. Also, despite the slower tempo, we're not kind of dragging behind the beat like we have seen in other bands that have switched to lower tempos in the middle of songs before. It's still on the beat. There's still movement and direction. Almost feels like the drums even have some distortion on them. It's just... maybe that's just the bass texture working in. The whole song seems to be degrading from the very foundation. bit of call and response between the cleans and the harshes. Nice little drum fills there. Bit of clipping there in that fill. Another introduction of the reverb on the lead, but instead of a guitar, it's on the vocals here. Even with the sparse instrumentation, the sound is just so wide. I mean, it's still a contrast to what we just heard, but one guitar, one vocal still just filling up so much space. I like how they left the squeaks of the guitar slides in there. Just heavy and weighty, but not dragging. I think that's like the coolest part right there. Almost even slightly rushing. There's a couple overtones that kind of feel like they're coming in just a hair early. Just the little hammer-on right there. Playing around with dissonance. All right. All right. So, definitely starting to kind of see some trends and kind of drawing some parallels between some of the songs we've checked out that are doom metal-ish, and I'm slowly sort of drawing some patterns here. One thing I really liked here is the emphasis on weight, right? And the album is called, I saw it in the bottom corner, but it ain't, Foundations of Burden. And I can certainly feel some concepts of the weight of burden in the song. I don't know if that's throughout the entire album, if this is present. Maybe this is just, a very poignant song to pick for this album, which I suppose is also something that could happen. But the idea of burden and weight is present here. However, what I really enjoy is we've listened to songs that really slow it down to slow tempos. It's not something we haven't done before on the channel, but usually it's done in an attempt to feel like you're wading through molasses. It's usually done in an emphasis to kind of give this lethargy to the song to make the listener, the music, whatever, feel lethargic, not wanting to move. There's maybe it's a not want to move, maybe it's an external pressure keeping them from moving, slowing down their movement. But it's usually, as far as what I've kind of read into it, utilized for the speed aspect. And here I didn't really get that. The tempo is dropped, but it's not necessarily to create a slow movement, it's to create weight. A lot of the song was played on the beat. And like I said, usually in the past, when we've checked out stuff that went into slower tempos like this, they kind of dragged. They played a little bit behind the beat, and that sort of emphasized and elevated that feeling of lethargy, of just not moving, not keeping up. And here they were just on the beat constantly. All right. I even mentioned there at the end that it felt like some of the guitarists were actually kind of jumping the gun just a hair. I heard some overtones coming up. Maybe it was, they shifted their left hand just a hair early, and I got a little bit of those overtones coming through. The strums themselves seem to be on the beat, but some of the overtones, I think, from moving across the fretboard is moving across the frets was just a little early, so it wasn't created as a way to introduce sloth to the song. It was done entirely for the purpose of weight. Each note hung in the air. The tempo wasn't moving fast enough for quarter notes to really seem like a short note. Quarter notes felt like they were held forever. They were at this tempo. Quarter notes, if you assume that the average tempo is going to be about 100, 110, 120, I don't know if there's any data to back that up. To me, that feels like an average tempo. A lot of Western marches are done in 120. I would say that a lot of pop music, a lot of popular music, not even just pop genre, but popular music, is done in the 90 to 120 range. I think it's just a fairly comfortable range for a lot of music to exist in. It's not too fast, but it's not too slow. And a couple of these sections were just, if we're looking at 120, I'd say we were probably about half of that, which means that our quarter notes are effectively half notes in what a majority of music sounds like these days. So, yeah, it's actually not that far off to say that quarter notes just seem extra long. They hang in the air. And it's, like I said, it's not intended to create sloth. There's a lot of momentum and forward movement through the song, but it basically allows each note to hang in the air and provide its weight. These notes are not things to be passed over, they are things to be thought about. They have presence, and they are giving them space to breathe. To add to this, I mentioned at the end we had a couple of hammer-ons that were maybe 16th note hammer-ons. But aside from that, a lot of the song deals with eighth notes, quarter notes, and whole notes or half notes. I don't know if we had any whole notes, maybe in the bass line, but I don't think so. They would just be held out way too long. But yeah, it's a lot of the the longer note lengths. We're not looking at 16th to 30 seconds or crazy, uh, you know, fast finger tapping or anything like that. Like I said, the fastest notes we got were 16th notes, and they were rarely used. Eighth and quarter notes really dominated this, and it allows every note to exist. Nothing is a passing note. We hit a note and we listen to it before moving on. And that really creates a sense of weight and identity to the music. Like I said, these aren't just notes to pass by and you kind of see the whole phrase while missing the notes, right? In this song, you listen to the notes. The phrasing, the overall musical phrase might be kind of lost given the length of time it takes to play an entire pattern of it, but you really get to get intimate with each individual note and how they work, especially when you look at some of the harmonies that are going on. They exist for quite some time. You're really allowed to fall into the harmonic work that's going on. And I think it's really phenomenal to kind of put so much weight on the individual notes rather than the melodic lines. You're really looking at the trees rather than the forest when we get to bands like this. Um, and I think that's really the one big takeaway I got from this was just their emphasis on notes. It's just kind of phenomenal. The other big thing, though, is tone and width of tone. Holy cow. So we can really see it at the beginning, but I think the strongest point that I can really utilize to emphasize this is the middle section where we really strip it back. And what would normally be a fairly vulnerable section in any other more popular genre. We have a guitar, a singer, and a very sparse drum, basically doing hi-hat quarter notes and then like bass and snare alternating on beats. There's really not a lot going on in the drum work. Most of that section is held up by your guitarist and your vocalist. And like I said, usually that's going to create sort of a vulnerable atmosphere. There's really not a lot going on. There's a lot of silence and, ambient silence. You're going to have the guitarist playing notes and the singer singing, but there's going to be a lot of space for the music to exist within. Um, and it's going to seem empty, and that emptiness is going to create vulnerability for your lead lines, especially if they're singing, because now you get the words that are being sung as well as the emotion that's being conveyed through them, and it just creates this vulnerable, music. And that doesn't happen here. The guitar fills up the space. A single guitar, it just when it's not there, yeah, it's pretty empty. But as soon as it pops in and it holds out a note, and it's just filling up so much space, just a single instrument, and a lot of that is due to maybe doubling up of the instrument, but also just the way that the distortion and overdrive are being utilized to the max. They are pushing the sound to its limits. I said at the beginning, it sounds like the song is degrading, it is deteriorating. There are several instances where clipping happens, and we miss some of the nuance for more of a grittiness. And normally I would say that's normally not what you want. You don't want to clip. Even when you have overdriven guitars, which are naturally clipping, that's what overdriving is. It's kind of like forced clipping to create that staticky grittiness to it. You still don't want to clip that sound too badly because you still want the nuance and the personality and the flavor of the tone that you have and the chords that you're playing. And here it almost seems like they don't care. It's not about the music, it's about the sound. How do we make this feel weighty? How do we make this feel doomy and gloomy? And how do we make all of this fit together into an identity of a song? You know, how do we make this song us? How do we inject ourselves into it, or maybe not themselves, maybe the emotion they're trying to convey? And I think starting from the core DNA, music is created by sounds. And when your sounds are degraded, it makes your song sound degraded. They went to the very DNA, the very structure of the song, and disintegrated it. They chopped it up and made it all crackly. Um, and it's almost like the song is so heavy, so loud, so wide that the idea of the song cannot be contained. It's trying to break out at all times. And it's just a couple of instruments. It's just like the biggest tone I've heard. I think I said even the drums sound distorted, and I don't think I'm wrong. Even thinking back to the sparse section, um, I think I remember hearing a little bit of distortion or overdrive or something on the drums, just kind of widening them up and giving them a bit of crunch. I don't think they were entirely, dry drums. Um, and it's just the combination of the two, the audio degradation mixed with the extremely wide sound and slow tempo designed to, it all comes together to create this weighty monstrosity. It's like a giant just kind of stomping through. I think that's the best way I can put it. It is definitely an acquired taste. Although I will say I am very surprised by the vocalist. I was expecting something harsher. And aside from the interesting reverb, I'm going to say that the vocals were rather tame. I don't think too many people would be put off by them. I think the music is going to be the thing that really turns people away from this song in particular. I don't know if that's normal for doom metal. Usually when metal is in the name of a genre, I'm expecting something a little harsher. Maybe that's just me, but yeah, like I said, a little surprised that they were as clean and listenable as they were. So yeah, that's gonna wrap this one up. I let you guys know what I thought of Pallbearer. This is where you guys come in. Let me know what you thought of Pallbearer's The Ghost I Used to Be. Let me know if there's any context I'm missing. Let me know if I'm kind of spot on or if you disagree with things. Let's open up some dialogue and some conversation down in the comments section. All right. Above above the comment section is the description box if you would like to check out any links adjacent to the channel, such as the Patreon or maybe some videos that YouTube's blocked. All those links are in there. Below that, if you could like, subscribe, and ring the bell, that would help out immensely. And if you'd like to get updates in the future about when I post stuff, it can help you out immensely. I will be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 p.m. UTC with another doom metal song. And yeah, I'm going to keep compiling these songs and sort of the ideas between them and see if I can't figure out what doom metal is by the end of the week. Which I think is going to be an interesting task because a lot of the stuff is doom metal mixed with something else from what I understand. So maybe we'll see if I can find sort of a through line, sort of a common shared DNA among them. All right, until next time, you guys stay safe out there, keep being awesome, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening whenever you choose to watch my videos.